Alright, give me a second to finish setting up stuff, everybody. I want to make sure everyone looks good, which already is giving me a few issues with the cameras, moving them around. Let's see if it fixes itself here in just a second. I know you can't start video. There we go. I did it. Alright, now let me turn on other people so you can hear them too. And I think we can hear you now, guys. So let's make sure I got all my stuff set up, my camera's in the right spot. And let's see. And I gotta get the chat up. There we go. Alright, I think we're at least set. Things are looking pretty good, at least on the setup. And how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Doing fantastic.
It's pretty awesome for a Monday.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good Monday. You know, it's over with now, with work at least, and so now it's the fun part. You don't have a Monday again for at least 6 more days, so I think it's kind of good. So did you guys do anything crazy this weekend? Or not? Well, yeah, this weekend. It is Monday. We just did the weekend, so that's relevant.
Nothing too crazy on mine, honestly.
Yeah? Jack, did you go partying or anything?
I slept till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sounds like a party, man. Alright. Well, welcome everybody. Today's date is Monday, or well, I need to switch it around. I always start with Monday. Today's date is April 13th. It is Monday. And tonight we have returning guest Jack and Adagio. Jack hasn't been on the show for at least a month and a half now. It's been a while. But we also...
It's definitely been a while.
Yeah. I mean, you were here for the first, like, 3 shows, and then you just disappeared on us. It's alright. We got you back now. And tonight, we have viewer guest, Dins. And am I saying that right? What's the right way to say your full name, man? Or your full tag name?
So Dens is like the short version, and that's good. Denzine is what I go for, the full.
It kind of sounds like a drug. Is it a drug?
No, as nerdy as it sounds, it actually comes from a pen and paper role-playing game character that I played.
Sounds awesome, actually. Well, he is known as Get Bent MTG, at least in Twitch, and he's been watching us for a little while now. How many shows have you watched so far?
So I've actually gone back and watched all of the MogTalks.
Oh, God.
As far as watching live, I've watched 4 episodes now.
Wow, so you've been here for about half our life now. So, I mean, we're still kind of a new concept. Well, all right, well, this is going to be a pretty fun show. We're going to go mainly over to Live Letter tonight. But it is episode 8 of MogTalk, and it's a show based on weekly news, game discussion, and many other things Final Fantasy XIV related. And tonight, I'm going to do a quick Q&A with all of our guests here. I decided I want to do that for every single person who gets on this show so people know who's actually commenting on stuff. And so you have an idea of when someone says something incorrectly, like, you know, ninjas using mantra. You'll have an idea of why they think that. And then we'll be discussing Live Letter 20, of course, because that's the big topic. And then we'll have a small discussion kind of on what we're going to be doing for the gap between Heaven's Ward and now. So let's bump into the Q&A, because I'm actually kind of interested to get to know you guys a little bit better here. And I want to ask all of you guys actually viewing the stream, if you have questions for anyone up here while we're doing this Q&A, ask them, and then we'll try to collect those and ask them around the end of the Q&A and see if you guys can find more interesting details than I can out about them. But I'll start this off. I want to make sure we know what all of the people here actually know class-wise. And so we're kind of familiar with Adagio and what classes you play, but go over it again real quick. What classes do you play, Adagio?
I mostly play on my paladin. Every now and then I jump on my healer. Aside from that, mostly DPS as a monk. And I have a very, very geared black mage that I am incredibly horrible at.
Okay, so which healer? Is it White Mage that you normally
White
run?
Mage, yeah. I'm leveling Scholar right now, and so far it's been pretty interesting. It's definitely completely different from White Mage.
Yeah, it's a different little world there. So Jack, what about you, man? What classes do you usually run?
I mainly run as a ninja. I think
Okay.
you're very well aware of that.
I am.
I
I
also
am.
play monk. I also I had main warrior for about a year before I made the switch to ninja. So I have that. I have a tank, tanking under my belt. I also play scholar from time to time, but I only use that to for basically for PvP because there's never enough healers in PvP.
Do you PvP a lot?
Very rarely, but when I do, I always go as healer. I always just find it so fun to heal in PvP. I just don't understand why.
Gotcha. All right. So Dins, what classes you play, man?
I'm a black mage main, but I also play bard, summoner, scholar.
All right. So we got basically a ninja, a black mage, and a paladin in here, and for our mains, you guys. We could almost make a full group, a 4-man group, and go do a dungeon while we do this. And we're all on the same server too, so it would work out.
Yep.
I'm not on the same server.
You're not on Exodus, I thought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'm
he
a-
switched. He
I'm a
moved.
former Exodite. I'm now on Famfrit.
Well, it's okay.
Traitor.
All right. So, another important question, and a lot of people, I think this is kind of just an interesting thing to know about people, is what got people into Final Fantasy XIV? What brought them into the game originally? And I'll start with you this time, Jack. What got you into Final Fantasy XIV?
Well, Final Fantasy XIV was brought to me through the fact that I had played a second MMO that was shut down, and me and my friends were looking for another MMO to fill in our time, and that's when Final Fantasy XIV was about to be released. So my friends just said, "Hey, let's just go to Final Fantasy XIV." I was like, "Okay," and we did. I came in with 20 people. I'm still going. Everyone else left.
Yeah, I can relate to that. We switched from WoW to here to try something new, and me and my girlfriend Kerr is the only people who actually stayed on the server from that group. Everyone else just went back to what they were doing before. But all right, Dens, what got you into the game, man?
Oh man. So I have a much longer storied history.
Let's do it.
I used to play Final Fantasy XI. I played Final Fantasy XI for about 4 years from its US release up until roughly Ot Urgan. When Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 came out, I played it for a grand total of about 3 days.
Wow, that's
The game-
longer than most people.
Well, that was when it first came out, and I'm like, I'm a really die-hard Squeenix fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I will give Square the benefit of the doubt, and like after 3 days, I was like, this is not a modern MMO. This is not well built. I can't do this. What the hell happened? So finally, like, I heard about A Realm Reborn, and I watched a few Twitch streams to try and see during like beta phase 2 and 3 to see if they had like fixed the problems in the game. And as soon as I saw guys running through combat, I was like, yeah, that's the formula. That's it. And then I had this like frenzied attempt to find a physical copy at launch so I could actually play the game because everything was so broken you couldn't buy digital copies.
Yeah, I don't think I was lucky enough to avoid the whole 1.0 bus, but I know many people who weren't, and I think they turned them off for quite a while. They still haven't gotten back into it, which is sad. But Adagio, what got you into the game, man?
Into 14 specifically, or Final Fantasy in general?
14 Pacific. Let's go with that.
Well, I mean, just aside from playing all the other Final Fantasies, I've more recently been getting into MMOs. I never played 11, unfortunately, just because of the price tag costs for the PS2 upgrade. It wasn't in the budget at the time, and I didn't have a computer. But saw 14 dropping, Final Fantasy 14, and I was like, man, I've got to play it. And like Dins, I got 1.0 and literally played it for 3 days, and I could not stand it. So yeah, I ended up quitting. And then one of my old buddies was like, dude, you gotta try it. It's good. It's good. I promise. It's getting better. This was around the beta phase of 2.0 coming out. And I was like, fine, I'll give it a try since, I basically get free. So, I don't know, was it 30 days again you got free at the beginning of 2.0?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's a free 30-day trial essentially, so I might as well go ahead and give it a try. And got it hooked. Been here pretty much since then.
Yeah, I came from WoW, and I was just tired of it because I've played WoW since it first came out. And, after a while, it's literally the same game over and over and over again. And it gets worse. It gets dumbed down every single expansion they do. And, I just got to a breaking point with it to where it kind of hurt the play. And it was at the end of Panda Land, is what I'll call it. I forget. Mist of Pandora. And basically, they did almost a full year with no content until they hit their expansion. And the expansion was great for like a month, and then it sucked for the entirety. And so I played with Kerr the entire time, and Kerr first tried Final Fantasy XIV when it came out, and she played it one day, and this is 2.0, by the way, and she was like, this is the worst game I've ever played. I'm never going to play it again. And she said that because of all the connection issues, and I think she was just really frustrated with it and thought that it was just going to continually be like that. But then I talked her into trying it again because some of my friends wanted to try something new, and she got hooked, and which essentially made me hooked to it. So it's a good game, man. So... and this question that I have coming up next is really just going to be mainly for Adagio, because you're mainly the only person here streaming actively besides me. What got you into streaming, Adagio?
Mainly, like I said, I just want to get that feeling of community in the game. The way it is right now, like you just get your stationary or your static group, and that's pretty much all you do stuff with. I mean, aside from interacting with them and maybe the FC members, I really don't interact with anybody else in the game, and I kind of want to break that. I want to be more involved in the community with Exodus specifically, and if not, I mean, with anybody that plays 14 in general. So I mean, that's part of the reason why I started streaming.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something else to do with Final Fantasy. It adds a whole new layer to it. The problem is if every player streamed, then no one would watch anyone else's streams. But so Jack, I know you have streamed before, but nothing too serious. Do you have any interest in ever getting into streaming seriously, or streaming like on a set schedule or anything like that?
Scheduling wise may be difficult with me, as I was gone for a good month with with MogTalk.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, scheduling-wise, it's going to be difficult for me. But I would love to get, seriously into streaming. It's something I've always wanted to do because it's, I mean, you get involved with the community, you get involved with the people, and you just want to have a good time, and you want to have a good time with other people.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything wrong with that?
No, not at all. I mean, it gets costly after a while trying to get everything back up, up to par. Like, I don't know how much money I shelled out so far trying to fix my drop frame rates, which... Fingers crossed, it's been good since I put the new router in, and we'll see if it sticks.
Yeah,
Den, yeah, Dens, do you have any interest in the future of streaming at all, or are you mainly just kind of a viewer?
So I actually used to stream.
Oh, okay.
In Binding Coil of Bahamut and Second Coil of Bahamut, I streamed for our FC so they could watch the fights from a Black Mage point of view for ranged DPS. And I do a small amount now for my current FC, so again they can watch Final Coil for my raid group. As far as like a more set schedule, it's been really hard with my current group because our schedule is really fluctuant because we have a lot of very busy professionals. So we have a doctor and a couple lawyers, and these guys are working just crazy hours. Yeah. So we don't have a very good schedule, and it makes it really hard if I'm not actively going like, all right, I have this on this day and this on this day. However, come Heaven's Ward, I do kind of want to do a little more streaming. I don't know at what rate, like whether it's like a 3-day a week or 4-day a week kind of thing. But my intent is to slowly do it a little more.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, and you don't have to make anything big of it. It's just fun to do and have people kind of watch you play. And some people just really like watching other people play, and I do too. I mean, honestly, when I'm not streaming here, I'm watching other streams. And I'm just hopping around, checking everybody out, and seeing what the Final Fantasy XIV streaming community is like. But, all right. So, Adagio, what if I gave you a future goal for your streaming, or what would your future goal be for streaming?
Well, I mean, I would like to do it like more than I currently am. I mean, with the hours that I'm restricted to right now, it's really hard because I mean, I'm doing it from like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. because that's literally the only time I have to play. Because with the wife and the kids, I mean, if I could find more time to do it, and that would be awesome. Because I mean, so far, from what I've been doing, I've been having a blast with it. And I mean, I don't know. I'd like to, of course, have a lot of viewers on, but I mean, even when I have like 2 or 3 viewers, I'm just sitting there talking to them, having a blast with them. So I mean, yeah, I'd eventually have to get bigger and have more fun with more people. But I mean, I still enjoy the smaller streams too. So
Yeah.
I don't really know if that really answered your question much. But
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, you kind of just want to expand in the future. You just kind of have to see how it comes at you, because your life is not exactly, I guess, friendly for streaming. Right now, you're just kind of doing what you can. All right. So this is kind of a question I have for Jack and Dins, and I'll start with you, Jack. What do you want to see more out of the Final Fantasy 14 streamers that you guys currently watch? Do you see anything that you're like, I wish there was this from our streamers, or what?
Well, going off from the last view you had with Samus, what I love that he did was that he always got involved with the community. Like when he streams, like sometimes he's like, okay guys, I'm gonna be queuing for like Citrus Tower. Like that was like one of the last streams I watched from him. Like he was doing a Citrus Tower run when that was still relevant, and he was just like, okay, everybody just join. And then like me and my friends were watching his stream, and we tried joining as well. But it was just like the thought of like getting involved with the community, doing something like that, just like doing a raid or something. That was just fun.
Yeah.
I just wish other people would interact with the community more, other than just with their streamers. I mean, interacting with the streamers is good, but I mean, there's a whole community out there.
You mean, so basically you just kind of more streamers to have constant like community interaction and like host kind of community things maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that would be something fun to do and something fun to see.
Yeah. All right, Dins, what do you think, man? What would you want to see more out of streamers currently for Final Fantasy 14?
So I could troll a little and say that I want to see more streamers like Mr. Happy.
Okay.
No, seriously, what I'd actually like to see is streamers who, you don't necessarily have to be a raider, but if you know you're really good at your class, and you can teach people how to play that class.
Oh yeah.
So like, you can find that content more in like Reddit or Lodestone, but you don't see people very often who will actually, like, while they're playing, teach you the little secrets of whatever they know that makes them like that little like sliver higher and better than your average person playing that class. And especially at the raid tier, when you get into that, you need those tricks to really set yourself apart. And if more people just share that and we're a little more open instead of like trying to hold their own little fiefdom of like, this is the secret tech that I know, I think that'd be a little more engaging to new players especially.
Yeah, and no, I actually completely agree with you. And I've done that a few times while streaming, and I just kind of, narrate all of my actions. Like, I'll say, all right, I'm using cover on him now because of this. And I just, like, everything I'm thinking, I just blurt out. And so I make sure that everyone knows what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I want to actually do more streams like that, but I don't feel confident enough outside of, like, Paladin or Warrior. And I hope that I can get to other points with other classes where I can start doing that. Because I think that would be interesting. I mean, one of the first people I watched actually stream was Day 9 TV. Are you guys familiar with Day 9?
No, never actually.
Top.
Yeah, Day 9 is pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's top of the league for StarCraft 2. And so he's this big guy who's done multiple tournaments, and so he hit this point in college where he's just going to start streaming, and every single night he got on and analyzed competitions, and he's like, this is the strategy they're using, he's messing up here, he probably should do this, and he just went in to every little detail he could to help people be better at StarCraft. And I loved it. And he's actually part of my inspiration for streaming right now, because I think that he knew exactly what he was doing. He would get on every night, and he would put on like an hour or two show. And it wasn't just, here's me playing the game. It was me presenting something to you that you might be able to absorb. So that was it. And yes, I do sleep on that couch sometimes, by the way. That's why I have the covers over there and the pillow. Sometimes Kerr gets mad at me. Anyways, I don't think we have any, I think, questions from people. They think they believe I'm actually interrogating you guys, so maybe they're kind of content with what we know about you. I do want to ask one more question that will just kind of go around, and I want to ask how you guys got your tag names. Adagio, what brought that name?
Well, I used to play violin a lot in middle school and high school, and I kind of fell out of it after I graduated high school, and then I started picking it back up again recently. So about the time I started playing actually Guild Wars 2, I picked up the name Adagio and Dante, and that was because I was actually getting really into playing my violin again. So it's just a musical reference, really,
All
and
right.
it's pretty much stuck.
It's awesome. Jack?
Well, the name God Forbid came actually from one of the bands that I listened to. The lead singer's name is God Forbid, and I just kind of just liked the name. I mean, I was a lot younger. I just used it as a base. The 12 or any other number behind it, it's just numbers. There's no significance behind that. But God Forbid just came from a lead singer.
Fair enough. What about Jack Green? Was it just something that kind of came up in your head?
Jack is actually just a play on my name, though, like John Jack kind of a thing.
Okay, I gotcha.
Green was just random name from the game itself because I couldn't think of anything.
That's an extremely interesting story there, Jack. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Dins, where'd you get your name from?
So I mentioned it before, like, the name Denzine actually came from,
Yeah.
like, an super nerd, a Dungeons and Dragons character I played. I know, what a geek.
Great.
The last name of my character is Starweaver, which was my Taru's name in Final Fantasy XI. And the whole story behind that is my favorite spell in the whole Final Fantasy universe is Meteo.
Okay.
So for those that played FF4, Tella is a boss. All right, that's my hero. And the Starweaver thing was like, Meteo is kind of like a weaving of falling stars, so that was where the name came from.
Was that the guy with the white hair?
Yeah, he's the old man.
Yeah, I remember him. It's been a long time. All right, well, that is all the questions I have. I won't interrogate you guys any longer. And we'll just jump right into the live letter. And so there was a lot of hype from me, at least, coming from this. Are you guys hyped for Heavensward after seeing some of the information coming from a live letter? Go ahead, show your excitement.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, yeah, I actually listened. I didn't catch the actual live letter. I watched the happy review data and thoughts, and yeah, I really enjoyed what he said, and very, very looking forward to 3.0 launching.
Yeah, to me, seeing those videos was probably the highlight of it. Some of that other information was kind of repeating itself, and so it wasn't too, I guess, interesting. There was a few interesting aspects, and I'll go over them, and some of it's, kind of stuff we expect. Jack, did you get hyped?
I actually have not seen the live
Oh,
letter.
okay.
Yeah, I know. But I've actually I just watched a stream that played earlier today and saw some of the highlights from it. So from what I saw, I'm actually pretty excited for it. I mean, I was already excited for it to begin with, but I like what the information they showed me though.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way I could get my information. It's just from other people translating the stuff. Because I mean, I didn't watch the live letter. I just watched the videos from it and then read the information because I felt like it wouldn't be too worthwhile for me to actually watch the video itself, or at least a live letter. What about you, Dins? Are you excited after watching a live letter?
So, in similar fashion, like, I tried to wake up at 3:15 in the morning to watch the live letter, and I have been hosting some people over the weekend. You might know them. One is Gilly.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was so exhausted I turned it off, but I watched all the notes and I looked at everything, and I have, in typical like Yoshi P fashion, please look forward to it. I have like 1,000,000 questions.
Okay.
And a lot of theories behind what they're doing, but in general, I like although it's been vague, I like a lot of the changes they are doing to the way that they handle a lot of the content.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that they left kind of open ended, and I definitely want to dive into some of those. And so that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. We're going to find out what information we can pull and what you guys actually think they actually mean by some of it. Before we jump too much further into it, I do have a couple of questions from the chat. One was UB Robbins asked everyone what advice we could give to new streamers. And I'll start with you, Adagio.
All right. Well, I don't know how relevant my information could be, or my advice could be, since I'm a new streamer myself. But pretty much, I've just been interactive with my chat. I see someone coming in. I've been joking around with them, having a lot of fun, and I mean, they tend to come back when you make them part of your stream. Essentially, I've basically just have fun with your viewers and let them know that you care about them. Really, that's as far as I've gotten so far.
I gotcha. And Jack, Dins, can you think of anything that you could give advice for streamers, even though you guys don't have too many streams going on right now? I know, Dins, you had some streams going beforehand, but Jack, any advice you would give somebody if they just asked you on the street?
I mean, if anything, I mean, just interact with your viewers. I mean, they're part of the reason why they're watching. I mean, when you interact with them, they're drawn to it. It's like not only they're drawn to the gameplay you're doing, but you're talking to them, and they makes them stay and they come back.
Mm-hmm.
Just interact. I mean, and overall, be nice.
Yeah.
Depending what you're playing. I mean, of course, if you're playing COD, then that's a different demographic altogether. But yeah, just be nice and interact with your viewers.
Yeah. All right, Dins, what about you, man?
I mean, Jack's point is perfect. Interaction is the big thing. The other thing that I would say, just beyond interacting, which is pretty key, like if you want to maintain people's attention, you have to pay attention to them. It almost helps you to find some niche or portion of whatever you're streaming that you really love and focus on that. Because if you love somebody, something, someone, anything, you are going to be more passionate about it, more entertaining about it. This comes from like some old kind of, I guess you'd say, ideologies behind radio work. Make sure you come from a place where you enjoy the stuff. Because if you're forcing yourself to do things you don't like, you're probably going to have trouble being entertaining doing it. And if you're not entertaining, it's really hard to watch for a long period of time. So that would be my advice.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you guys. Interaction does bring people back. And, you know, interact with people as much as you can. And you'll get to a point, I mean, if you get really good at streaming and you have a lot of things, and you're always finding new things when you're streaming. You're finding new ways to make your stream better. You can change a graphic overlay. It looks ugly, or like this could definitely be fixed. I've made multiple changes to MogTalk since I first started it. And I think that is getting a lot better. And I'll probably make multiple advances later on. And I'll look back and think that what I'm doing right now looks completely like a turd. But I will say interaction will keep people in there, and interact as much as you can. And once you get to the point to where it's overwhelming and you can't interact as much, you're doing pretty good. And you're going to have a good following just because you already have a following. So that's the biggest advice. I think we all kind of beat that dead horse multiple times in this, but that's really the most important point. And I will go ahead and say to Waza, you can look up the Twitch rules, and if they permit that, then feel free to go ahead. I'm pretty sure they don't, but do what you want, man. One other question we had was just basically the mic I was using. The mic setup I'm using is a Blue Yeti. It's a little costly. It's like, I think I bought it for $120. If you catch it when it's on sale, it's really great. I'm also using a pop filter that cost, like, I guess, $16, but you can put a sock on your mic and it does the same thing. This just looks cooler. So, yeah, I like this mic a lot. It's really simple. It's a USB mic. You hook it up and then you're done. There's nothing else you really got to do. And you have gain settings and other settings on there you can adjust, but it's not complicated at all. I mean, a baby could operate it. Although you probably don't want a baby to touch it. Okay, so getting into the live letter now. The first part that I actually saw in it was how long the story is supposed to be. And there's supposed to be 50 hours of gameplay. And by gameplay, I'm wondering if they're talking also, cutscenes. Are cutscenes kind of included in that? And if they are, then maybe 50 hours really isn't as long as you'd want. And this is just a storyline too. I mean, you can spend. Everyone knows now that you can, if you look at your, if you have Steam and you look at how many hours you've played, you can be very depressed about that. But you can still spend tons of time within the MMO itself. But 20 hours on the main storyline. It's going to be called the Dragon Song War. So I want to get your opinion on it, guys. What do you guys think about the length? Do you think an expansion 50 hours of gameplay is pretty good? And I'll start with you, Jack, if that's all right.
50 hours, I mean, gameplay is subjective, honestly. I mean, like you said, does this include cutscenes? Because if it is, I mean, it could be much shorter. But if it's 50 hours of actual gameplay where you're actually playing the game, then yeah, I think that's actually pretty decent for an expansion. And then they'll throw free content at us, over the course of 2 years or a year, depending how long they want this expansion to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I kind of agree with you on that too. I mean, yeah. Dins, what do you think, man?
So I kind of look at it like this. If I were to go out and buy any game for a console, if for my, between $30 and $60, depending on game, if I get 50 hours of gameplay out of it, I'm probably pretty thrilled. And if that's what it takes to do all of the story content, and I'm pretty confident they would include cutscenes in that, because if you think of any game nowadays, when you're talking game time, you include the cutscenes. I'm perfectly okay with that, because your average game now won't take more than 10 to 20 hours to beat, so you're getting, triple the content or more? That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And I remember playing Metal Gear Solid 4, and that game was 10 hours of gameplay for me the first run through, and then 10 hours of cutscenes. I loved it. It was one of my favorite games that was ever made, so I can't really complain too much about it. Adagio, what do you think, man?
I think 50 hours is going to be perfect. I think it's probably going to be basically you get into Heaven's Word 3.0, you start on the story, and that 50 hours is going to be that storyline, unlocking the dungeons, doing the dungeons one time at least, and I mean, basically getting you to 60. I think that's going to be just fine, because they're going to have 8 new dungeons to run through, and you're going to be running through. There's a lot to gear up, so that's going to be probably additional to the 50 hours. And I mean, like Pete Kishner said, there's going to be crafting to do. I mean, there's going to be so much more to do aside from just the 50 hours to do. I mean, it's going to be crazy. And then, of course, 3 months after that, we're going to get a new patch. So I really think that 50 hours is going to be just fine. I'm not worried about it at all.
As soon as the game comes out, I'm pretty certain that everybody's going to be content with it for at least 4 months before they hit a wall where they're just like, what do I do? Because, they can blast through everything but still have tons of stuff that they got to do once the expansion still hits level up 3 new classes, as well as go through and complete the raids, get all that stuff down, and then you have new content, and like you said, 3 months afterwards. I think 50 hours of story is pretty good. I mean, with the patch, they put 5 hours of story just in that with 2.55, at least 5 hours, I would say. So it's going to be 10 times that patch, at least. And that's not including, run to point A, point E, and pick up so many different things. So it's probably going to be a little bit longer. They're also going to add side quests, though. And I didn't see too much more information about this. I just saw side quest. Do you think they're just only talking about the Moogle quest and like the Postman quest and Hildebrandt, or are they going to introduce anything else? Did you guys hear anything about them introducing another type of quest?
They're supposed to have 2 Beastmen dailies also, so.
Okay. Yeah, the Beastmen I still haven't gotten into for this patch, but.
If you think about it, like several of the leveling zones in the current content have their own sort of side story. They're not required to do. Like the Sylph storyline that's in the Shroud and stuff like that. Like they might be referencing those, where it's like these are optional quests, you don't have to do them, but they have their own little kind of interesting stories to them.
Yeah, and they're enjoyable to play through. God, I don't know how many quests I have just still sitting in my log that I need to complete, and every time I run through, I'm like, oh, look, all these quests I haven't done in this other area because I just never felt like going and doing them. Jack, what do you Go ahead, Dashi. Sorry.
I was about to say, I still have like 10 or so quests just in Mordona I haven't done.
Yeah. Jack, what do you think, man? Do you think they're going to have like a whole new, besides, the two Beastmen and Hildebrand and everything else, do you think they're going to have anything else?
I think it's going to be actually more like with the Hildebrand, where it's an actual story. Because watching the stream today that they had put, there was a screenshot that they put for side stories, which happened to be the monk from the monk quest. If anyone who's ever done it, it's Wildegard. They have him there with the new Artifact 2 armor, and of course your player character next to him. So to me, I think they're going to be doing more actual stories besides like with the Hildebrand, where it's its own thing. I guess it'll be more grittier or something. I don't know, but that screenshot alone just told me like, okay, they're doing something much different. So we don't only have to look forward to just Hildebrand, but there's other stories possibly dealing with the jobs.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
with the monk, dragoons, paladins. So I don't know, because I mean, the own story itself, the whole quest line, it's its own story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at the dragoons, for anyone who's played dragoons, this whole expansion is basically a continuation of the dragoon class.
Yeah, and I never played through the story, and then so the NPCs treat me differently because I didn't play through the story. I think they call you a different name or something when they're referring to someone being the only certain version of a dragoon or something. Or that's what I read during the main story quest. They refer to that one guy as being the last of a certain type of dragoon. But if you played through the dragoon line, then they say you guys are the same or something like that.
Yeah, since Sir Dan, I had asked him, since he played through the full dragoon quest line, I asked him like what was the beef or what was the story, because for anyone who's done the dragoon storyline, that guy shouldn't really be there. Einstein shouldn't really be there at all, or at least sane. Well, somewhat spoilers, but he shouldn't be there to begin with. But also the way he refers to you, like when they say it's like, okay, we're bringing in the best dragoon. If you complete the dragoon storyline, he just says like, I'm no longer the best dragoon. It is the player character. And if you just had at least started the dragoon quest line, I mean, the only thing is like the difference between them is like, oh, fate brought us together because storyline plot.
Yeah. I like that touch too, where they actually, if you do certain things in the game, the characters react differently to you. I mean, it's just a nice little touch. And no, I'll never get into crafting. I mean, if I max every single character out in Heavensward and I only have crafting left, maybe I'll get into it. But even then, maybe not. I can't see it.
Crafting.
It's
Crafting's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just you have to have like your own. It's its own thing. It's its own demon. It's not for everyone. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And we had another question here from Pinkishness, and she was asking, do you think each city-state will have its side quests as well, like they do now? And I'm guessing so. I'm really interested in the Ul'dah stuff. I don't know how deep they're going to go into, all the city-states, because then they would make you go to each and every one, but they would have to have one single quest that would send you to one, and then you completed stuff, then send you to another one, completed stuff, and send you to another one, because otherwise it might be too confusing for players, I think, to go through and do each one separately, and you have to go find them and look for these quests. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll probably do something with them, like so you can like go there and at least see what their reactions to what happened at the end of 255 was. Can't imagine they'd launched the expansion without touching Limsa, Liminsa, Ul'dah, or Gridania. I'm sure that we're going to be doing stuff with them, and they might have, like she said, they might have their own side quests that spurred out from that. But I mean, Square Enix tends to do that. They have storylines that derive multiple storylines, and they arc out, and then eventually they coalesce back into each other. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys agree, Jack, Dins?
Well, I mean, it's its own different beast. It's just like, maybe they will do something. I don't know. I mean, I think Ul'dah kind of works just basically of how, like, the lore-wise it is. Just like how corrupted everything is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to be very vague here, but I mean, it's just like, it works with Ul'dah. With Limsa and Gridania, it's very hard to work with for, like, story-wise, other than possibly at least for, like, the Gunners. Just like, okay, stuff happened, or I don't know, just like, okay, you have access to the this class, or certain training, beyond
Yeah.
that.
I
Like,
got you.
for the gunner mechanist, like, because Limsa has the gunner class within the Warriors place. I don't know if you ever saw the sign.
No, I haven't actually. I know.
If you go to the Marauder Tower and if you look for where shows the signs for the Marauders, there's also one for the gunners, for the gunner
Are,
icon.
are you sure that's linked? Because it used to be Musketeer, but Machinist
Well,
doesn't
yeah, it
have a
was linked to
class.
Musketeer. Yeah, I know it doesn't have a job. It doesn't have a job or class, but it was just something that was fun to poke at. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like the gunner class is already within the game, but it was only reserved for the what is it called? The Lumensin officers. Like they were the only ones allowed to be trained in that specific art, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I would think that it would probably have machinists going to Limsa. I'm not even going to say the rest of that because I can't pronounce it properly. And then if I had to guess, maybe Uda would have a Dark Knight and Astrologians for Gridania.
Oh,
Maybe.
I don't really
know.
Well, I mean,
see that.
Astrologian is basically Asgardian, and Dark Knight is. We don't know much information about it,
Yeah.
really.
I mean, do you think they would have Dark Knight coming from Gridania?
I have my theory based on Dark Knight, but it's semi-spoilers, and it's another theory I've heard that I disagree with, so I'm not really going to go down that route.
Okay.
But I really don't think that Astrologian or Dark Knight are going to be linked to Ulda or Limsa or Gridania, honestly. I think they're going to be linked more toward Ishgard, and I mean, I just don't see that, because there's no mention of them, either one of those classes or jobs, anywhere in Ulda or Gridania. They'd just be throwing it in there saying, here, this is where this starts, just because we need a place to start.
Well, I'm kind of ignorant towards that too. Was there any for Ninja? Like, was there any mention before they implemented that into the game?
Just story-wise, that's about it. I mean, it's just like when you do the story, just like Yugiri's like, it's like take me to Limsa. It's like okay, we'll work with basically their needs, their cutthroats, and we'll train them. And then from there, they kind of just started the whole the rogue thing, and then just basically here's a soul crystal.
Mm-hmm. All right, and Dens, we've kind of left you out there for a second. What do you think about what we were talking about here? I forgot the first point already.
So trying to be general, there are hooks in the 2.55 storyline that indicate you are going to go back to, at a very minimum, Ulda.
Okay.
Yeah, you have stuff to do.
Yeah.
You have something very important to do, and you kind of have to assume that, and this is kind of on your point too, Square is really good about interweaving their storylines, and you have like 2 or 3 storylines all going at once, and they leave a bunch of questions, and then bang, they all kind of coalesce. And I think you're going to see that. Like, I think part of what we're doing in Ishgard is going to require you to go back to, at a very minimum, some of the grand companies in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right? You have Sir Aymeric, who's trying to open the doors of Ishgard to kind of rejoin the true Eorzean alliance. You've got all that stuff that's like in the story right now. So something's got to happen.
Yeah.
The question is just, how do they present that to us?
And they're pretty good at doing that too. I mean, they can throw all kinds of stuff in there to bring us back, but I know they're going to probably put our focus on Ishgard, but I can see them sending us back there to talk to all of them and say, we got to rally you guys or something like that. But I won't get too much more into it just because I know we're going to expose a part of the story. And so far, we haven't done too many spoilers on this show. So the other note to kind of throw in about this is that they're adding more areas to it. And they're supposed to be 50% to 100% larger than existing areas. Again, it's a very general term that they threw out there. Are we talking about 50% larger of, Eastern Lenotia? Or are we talking about 50% larger of Korthros? We could get into this giant map, but I'm kind of predicting that they're all going to be kind of Korthos size, but you guys let me know what you think.
I'm really hoping that it's Quarthus based. I mean, you got flying mounts coming out, and you really need room for them to fly around. And if they're based off of anything else aside from Corthus, I think they're just going to be too small and not even warrant the flying mounts, honestly. So I believe they're going to be based off the Corthus size.
Yeah, I mean that's what I see. Jack, what do you think, man?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because when I heard the announcement too, that's going to be 50% to 100%. I'm just trying to think, okay, based off what? And
Mhm.
I'm just going to assume that the largest area, which is Porthos, I believe that's the largest area. Correct me if wrong here,
Mhm.
but I'm going to assume that it's going to be at least from that size. Because I mean, like you said, you're going to have flying amounts, and you kind of need a lot of room, and especially since they're giving you free reign of how to control the flying amount, you're going to need a lot of space.
Yeah. And I know that because of the fly mounts, they're going to have to make them pretty big. Dins, do you think we're going to have Corthus size zones, or are they going to be just kind of, yeah, I don't know, islands with more islands, and then they're going to say it's Corthus size?
Well, I mean, we've got a map that's very clearly going to be a set of lots of small islands
Yeah.
flying in the sky.
We have at least that.
I think, like, the easiest thing to think about is, of course, the zones are going to be larger. You have to be able to fly in them, and you have to have, like, exploration that is not on the standard ground level. Because why else would you unlock flying in each individual zone and need flying in each individual zone?
Yeah, and no, I actually, that's the point that I wanted to bring up too, is that, you know, you have to attune for that stuff, and I'll get back into that in a little bit, but I'll just put one last note on that whole subject too, is that saying 50% to 100% of larger than existing zones is so general that they could probably put almost any zone up there, and as long as it's 50% larger than the smallest zone they have out, which is really small, then they're okay.
I mean, yeah, if they add enough vertical space, I could see that. That'd be the only way I could see that happening, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's going to be a total of 9 of them. So hopefully we'll have a good variety. From what I saw so far, it looks like they're not going to do all just snow blasted, you know, crazy northern stuff. They're going to have lots of different little areas for us to run through. They're going to throw in more fates in there, and they said they're going to throw in large scale fates. So in large scale fates, are we going to expect, you know, huge bosses that you have to have, like, or huge fates that you have to have giant groups to beat? Or, you know, there's a few of them that I guess you could kind of relate it to. Is like the Cyclops that's in Korthos, I think. Is he there? And he has all his little minions and running around. It's the only guy with a laser eye, and it takes like 20 minutes or something for the fate.
Yeah, and that other one in Mordona, not in Mordona, North Thanalan with the Gogomira.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, you see those, and you're just like, I'm not going to do them, because if there's not like a full group over there, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah.
You know, another, I guess, question is, are we expecting Odin type level of large scale fates? That would be actually a lot more appealing to me than just having more of those. I don't know. They're just more annoying than anything else. Seeing it come up once a day and then saying, "Hey, we got to go over here and kill it," that's exciting to me. But seeing it come up 4 times a day and then everyone gets one pet and it's over with, I don't know. I'm not that interested in it. So I just want to get you guys' opinions on it. What do you think they mean by large-scale fates? And I'll start with you, Adagia.
I'm hoping that it doesn't end up being relegated to, like, say, S ranks, where people just freaking pile in and burn the mob down.
Yeah.
I'm hoping with large-scale fates that it could be, since we're doing flying islands here, most likely, maybe a fate that consists over multiple islands, and that you have to have multiple fights going on different islands or something. So you have to split the group up. You can't just zerg it down. Or maybe even like bosses that you have mechanics that you need to do, because that's what a lot of these. I mean, the S ranks, yeah, you need to manage some of the mechanics, but a lot of the mechanics are just burst through. Doesn't matter. I really don't want to see the fates, if they're going to be that large scale, end up like S ranks, basically, where you just zerg fest them and that's it.
Yeah. Jack?
I'm expecting just a little bit of everything. I mean, from the ones that you hate, you know, the one and dones and the Odin-esque fates that pop up every so often, along with like Behemoth. But I mean, I would love to see, like, you know, actual mechanics involved in these fates, other than just, you know, zerg the boss and then, you know, be done with it. Like just like in the chats, like maybe you have to defend like a town from dragons, and if you do, all the NPCs are unavailable for a certain amount of time. Like there's like clear consequences, or something fun to do.
Yeah. Dins?
All right, I'm calling my shot.
Okay.
Babe Ruth style. I think you're going to have an Odin Behemoth style fate that is going to be one of Midgardsormr's 7 children.
Okay.
Like, we're already getting Nidhogg is like pretty clearly going to be one of the focuses of the story.
Try Matt.
I think we're going to get one of the others.
Yeah.
As a big fate. That's going to spawn, once every 3-4 days or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they could also put in, like, multi-tier fates to, like, the one in... Actually, Korthros is, like, a very good example of these fates, because you have the one, it's called Sylvanas? No?
Svara.
Savara? Okay.
Savara.
Sorry, wrong game. Where you go and you have different fates that you have to build up, and eventually you kill the dragon in the end. So I guess that would be kind of interesting. Or you had a fate where you just have different areas where you have to do different mechanics in those fates. Like you have to kill, something over here and kill something over here to be able to do damage to the thing in the middle. Or I don't know. That seems like it could be kind of interesting. Again, as another generalized term they kind of threw out there, and this is more just speculation than anything else. But that's all I got on the areas and story and good stuff there. I want to jump into flight now. Take to the skies. Now, one of the notes they kind of put in there is that you have to attune to an area to fly in that area. And there's a reason behind this. It's not just, hey, we want to be annoying and make it to where you have to wait longer to fly. I feel like there's a good reason for it, and I have my own idea, but I'll go ahead and start with you, Dins, and you can tell me what you think is the reasoning behind it.
I think it's kind of a story hook. Like, I think it's a way to tie you into either each zone or perhaps the greater arcing, like, main storyline that will actually require you to do some things until, like, flight is necessary in the zone or flight is allowed in the zone in some way, shape, or form.
All right. Jack?
Again, going back to the stream that I watched today, they did mention the whole tuning thing. They had put it in quotation marks. Like, there's like no aetheryte that you attune to, so you can start. What they did, maybe this was a tease, or maybe this was just something that they're giving example, is that once you go to an area, you can't immediately fly in it, like you said. But you have to like do something, like talk to a few people, then you get like a license where you can then fly in the area.
Is that something that you do at the beginning of the zone or kind of near the end of the zone?
That was unsure, but like I said, it was just they're very obscure. They withhold a lot of details, but that's something to go on, more or less. Like you have to do something. Maybe you have to talk to a specific NPC, or maybe it's midway through. I don't know.
Okay, Nadashia, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm perfectly fine with it, honestly. I think if they just gave you the ability to fly right off the bat, you would not appreciate the zones as is. And people are complaining they want maps to be more dangerous, so this seems like a way for people to, put in their time in the maps, get the attunement, and like actually experience the maps and all the dangers and interesting goodies they have to offer before you finally do get to fly in the map. So I really don't have a problem with it. I actually like the idea, because right now, as is with the aetherytes alone, the game seems really small because of it.
Yeah. Well, I think the main reason they're going to do this is that Square Enix put a lot of work into building these zones up. It wasn't something like, oh, let's just throw something together and have them do a couple of quests. They thought it out. They're like, this is where the road is going to be. When they walk this way, this is what it's going to look like. And they want people to appreciate what they're doing. They don't want people to run into it and say, I can already fly in the zone, skip over everything that they worked hard on, and just jump from quest vendor to quest vendor. And so since they add in the attunement that you have to do, then maybe you actually have to go through a lot of the zone and go through the quest and appreciate it, but you don't have to re-go through it multiple times. You can kind of just skip over some of the pieces later on. And that's why they give you the ability to attune later, is because it doesn't matter after you've seen it once, I guess.
Oh, that plus you get like all the ground stuff done, and then of course they're talking about how you have a bunch of sky stuff done. So once you get all the ground stuff done, you get to do all the stuff in the sky afterward.
Oh yeah, I mean, and there's
Multiple
some
levels
zones.
of progression per zone. Yeah.
And there's some zones I know they're going to give it to you almost right off the bat because you can't do a zone without it, like the one with islands in it. But I guess for the other ones, it would kind of make sense that they would want to make it a little bit later on. And just for everyone, I'm just going to throw it out real quick. Let me know if the audio sounds pretty good because I know the frames are dropping like crazy right now. And I knew it was going to happen. I shelled out $100 for a new router, and it did nothing for me.
I've been having weird internet issues too lately. I don't know what's going on.
I think I might be being either throttled or Twitch just hates me. Those are the two options. So I'm going to look into VPN and stuff like that later on and see if that approves anything. But going on, the other thing is just for everyone to know, flight's only going to be available in new areas, and that makes sense because if you're going to put it in the old areas, they have to put in the work to actually rework all of those zones so you can't abuse those zones with flying, and that would take a lot of time. So I'm guessing maybe in the future, another expansion or another patch, they'll release flying for people, but it just doesn't make sense for them to reopen that up for all the other zones right now.
Another Bahamut destroys the world.
Yeah.
On that note, though, they did mention, again, going back to the stream, I'm surprised you didn't watch the stream. I'm disappointed in you.
Sorry.
They did mention that, I mean, you can't fly in the 2.0 areas. However, they were going to look into at least expanding some of it that you could fly into. So, but again, that's not the main priority right now. But it will happen in later 3.0 patches.
Yeah. That makes sense. I didn't actually hear that they're going to add it to more 2.0 and later patches. Or just have certain zones where suddenly you're able to fly. Like triple triad matches, you can only play them in certain areas. Jerks. Dins, you think it makes sense for them just to kind of hold off on flying for 2.0 right now?
I mean, if you look at the way WoW did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't fly in the old zones for a long time. They were originally designed only with terrestrial travel in mind, so they probably have to go through and add those borders in the sky. Like they mentioned, there's going to be kind of a shimmering border that lets you know, this is as far as you can fly. There's all sorts of things like that they have to put in, and that's dev time.
Mm-hmm.
That's reworking their maps. That's doing dev time, and it makes sense that they're going to be you can't fly in the original places yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it just makes sense. I mean, long term, do we want them making it so we can fly in all the old content, or making new content?
Fixing triple triad tournament, I think, would be more of a priority for me.
Really? Come on, Brick.
Okay, done with it. Let's go to the next point. So they're going to make flying mounts be, 90% normal on land, so you're not going to use them for just land running around, unless if you just really like that mount. And then 200% for flying. And they said that may be adjusted, so it's possible they might just ramp up flying to have normal land speed, or maybe they'll make flying go a little bit slower because they think that's too fast. You might, I don't know, crash into other people or something. I don't know. Then they're going to make it to where monsters, and this is an interesting thing, is that they're not going to have air monsters. So it's not going to be dangerous when you fly up. So you can just kind of fly up away from things and then be kind of safe for a while. I mean, if you're in range of land attacks, you're probably going to get hit with a land attack. But if you're up in the air, you're pretty much good. So right now, when you're running around in different areas and you have to run past mobs and they slow you and then they put you in that horrible situation where it takes you an hour to get to where you want to go because you keep getting slowed and knocked off your mount. This is going to be completely different. You just fly up and then get away, jump to where you want to be, and be done with it. Is this a good change?
I'm sure you're going to have to,
Go ahead.
No. Please go.
Tasha, go
I'm
ahead.
sure you're gonna have to have the mount summoned already. I'm sure you're not gonna be able to get
Right.
in battle and then summon your mount. So you're gonna, if you already have your mount out and you're already taking off and you get hit, then that's not a big deal. I don't think they're gonna do any stun mechanics like that. But yeah, if you haven't summoned your mount yet, you're gonna have to kill whatever's attacking you or get away first before you can take off.
Mm-hmm. Jackie?
All right. All mobs now have home gang. There you go.
Okay. That would be great. They would
Let it
you start to
fly,
fly
no?
up and they just pull you straight down.
Heavy version 2.0. There you go.
Oh God, please no.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's
Dins,
what's gonna happen. But no.
I would be actually very happy to see that, just to see it happen. Dins, what do you think, man? Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to stop laughing at the home game thing.
It's fine.
Secretly, I think the devs are tired of people complaining, like, why do I get heavied when I'm on my mount? This is stupid.
Mhm.
No, actually, I think it's fine. Like, the intent is to do your traveling quickly when you're flying. If you're trying to do stuff in ground travel, like whether it's a quest or some kind of farming or whatever, that's where they want the hazard to be, is when you're actually able to interact. If you're just flying around, most classes can't do things when they're flying, so if you can't interact, it'd be really annoying to have a hazard in the air and know that, like, once it attacks me, I can do nothing back. It's not like I can dismount and fight. I'm going to fall to the ground and
Yeah.
die.
That would be actually great if they could throw stuff at you, knock you off your mount, and you just fall and die. That would be another exciting thing.
What is this, Dark Souls?
What? I didn't hear you, Jack. Say it again.
Is this
Like,
Dark
what is
Souls?
this, Dark Souls?
Oh, Dark Souls? Yeah, let's do it. Final Fantasy
Please,
14, the Darker Soul. Okay. So,
Unsubscribe.
yeah. All right. So your personal chocobo is going to be able to be a flying mount as well. So you can have a black chocobo, you can have a blue chocobo, you can have a yellow chocobo, you can have a purple chocobo. They can all fly, and you can have all your little
Yay.
gadgets on it and everything, and pimp it out. So everybody should be kind of happy about that. I wish they did. They just got to expand it to fat chocobo, man. If they can do that, then they'll be in good grounds with me. No, gosh. Okay. And then also another note is that the flying land mounts are going to have maybe quests or ways for you to actually get them to do flying stuff. So by flying land mounts, I mean like,
Saruman?
yeah, exactly.
Or that bomb mount from
Yeah.
the kobolds.
Exactly. And so basically those you'll be able to do a quest or something and give it the ability to actually fly in the air into new zones. But that's going to be released in future patches, not with Heaven's Word. And Flying Gooba would be...
Flying
yeah,
booties.
Flying, yeah, that would be great too. And they had like rainbows coming out of their butt and all that stuff.
Flying Gooba.
Yeah, Flying
Yeah.
Gooba would be pretty good. I mean, maybe if it had like two giant leaves and its skinny arms were just like flapping it, and that's how it kind of
They
flew around.
already move awkwardly. I'd love to see how they fly.
What are you talking about, man? I want my
That'd
Magitech
be
mount to get
amazing.
like a transformer mode and turn into an
Oh, yeah.
airship.
Turn into an airship.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, it didn't like it squishes you inside. Oh gosh, that wouldn't be good for a row. All right, so that's pretty much all I have on the flying mounts, and Groogs, there is a lot of stuff going on with the drop frames. It's not just a Skype. I actually have a really high upload speed, and I've went into multiple tests, and like I could have just the game running, and I'll still have this issue. It's completely random when it happens. And I can't tell you how frustrated I've been with it, but I won't get on it too much so we can just kind of continue on the show, because I might start throwing stuff. So the next note I want to go on is classes. And we have a good segment of information from that. Well, now we all know all new classes are going to start at level 30. And they're not going to have relics to start off with. So I don't know.
Confirmed?
I think, yeah.
I know that 30 was confirmed. I didn't know the relics part.
Yeah, there was a post on it, and I'll post it here for other people. And I don't speak Japanese, so I'm kind of hoping for other people to translate it for me on Reddit and such. Let me see if I can copy. Why doesn't it not copy? Copy, paste. All right, there you go. And you can go to that link, and it kind of shows you that they're not going to have maybe the basic stuff for relics. I'm guessing that they'll do like they don't clarify it. They just say it's not going to have a relic, but it's most likely just going to be the starter stuff. So you don't have to go through all the early crap with it and do atmas and do books and everything else. You'll just start kind of where everyone else starts off on.
The first post, and they're pure speculation.
Yeah, it's all pure speculation. That's right. So, I mean, don't take my word for it. I mean, I could be completely wrong on it. I'm trusting people on Reddit, and sometimes that goes out well, sometimes it doesn't.
That's a dangerous game, sir.
It's a dangerous game. But we do know they'll all start at level 30, which is I guess a good thing, because then people, like all the players that are playing now, are probably going to want to start with the new classes. The other people who are just getting into the game, maybe they want to start with the warrior or dragoon. I'm guessing they're going to probably start dragoons.
I do have a question with that. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised that they're going to start at 30 because they're jobs, and jobs start at 30. That's just how it is.
Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Well,
But the question is here, since these are Heaven's Word classes, and you have to have the 2.55 story done to get access into Ishgard, are you going to be able to level these classes before you have a 50?
that's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I would assume so, but then again, it comes with the purchase of Heaven's Word, and so it's part of it. So I don't know if it's part of the package. They'll probably have some sort of quest line that you'll be able to do, and then you can go do it. But it'll only be Heaven's Word, because if you don't have Heaven's Word, I'm sure they're not going to give you the new classes. But I don't know if that means that you have to do the new quest. I mean, that's kind of up in the air. And I got a quick question that just popped up from Arcel, and what I'm wondering is, when you unlock a new job, do you just get a flood of new abilities that you would have from 1 to 30? LOL. Yep. No, I wouldn't know. I would think that they wouldn't try to overwhelm you. They might give you more abilities at a more frequent rate after you first start the class. So maybe you start the class and then you have a handful of abilities, like 5 abilities or something, and then like every 2 levels after that you get a new ability. Instead of, I think it's a little bit less frequent with the classes right now. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Like you don't get a new, I guess, ability every single level, right? I mean, you get it every...
I would guess that they would have like the equivalent of what you had for your class skills when you leveled 1 to 30. And then like you get one new skill per 10 levels on your job class, and I would assume that way. So you just get all your class quote unquote skills once you start a new character, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just kind of have to see. That's another thing that we just have to speculate on. It would make sense to me that they wouldn't just go crazy with it, because some people might just jump into the game and they're like, I really want to play a Dark Knight, and they don't know anything about the game, and if you overwhelm them with new abilities and tons of abilities, then they're going to be turned off by, from the game.
That goes again with that you can start a Dark Knight as soon as you buy the game, or if you have to level to 50 and get 255 done, because I'm thinking, honestly, it would be that way, because, like you said, to just hop in, have an instant level 30, and not know how to play a game, that just seems kind of short-sighted. So
yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you on that, but, other MMOs are selling level 90 characters, like on WoW.
Sure.
Well, so you bring that up. I kind of hate to draw a parallel to WoW, but when Death Knight first came out, you had to have a 50.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first went and started a new Death Knight character, you had very few skills for being a level 50 character. But the frequency at which you got skills through your level up rewards was significantly faster than other characters. So I think Square has kind of 2 options. They can either A, preload you with the number of abilities a level 30 character would have whenever you unlock one of the 3 new jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Or, similar to what you mentioned, they start you with a handful of skills, and instead of one ability every 10 levels like they currently do for a majority of the jobs, you're getting 1 or 2 every 5 levels at each iteration of your job quest. That way, like, you have this quicker ramp up, but it gives you that time to learn the skills over time like you would with a class normally.
Yeah. I really think that there's so many ways that they can do it that it's hard for me to like pinpoint any of them. And Square Enix has its own way of doing it. Like, this MMO doesn't feel like another MMO to me. I mean, it has its own kind of unique feel to it. So they may take it a completely different direction with how, Japanese audience would like it more. And maybe they'll just kind of accommodate and make that, get an in-between between what the Japanese audience would and like everyone else would like. So Jack, what opinions you got on this?
No, I was more thinking along the lines with Den. It's just like, they start you with like, very few abilities as soon as you get the job, but but the rate where you get the skills and the actions is probably much higher than versus any other job or class out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me that makes more sense. Because I mean, when you hit 30 as a job, you already have, depending on your class, you already have like a good amount of skills. Like you maybe have like 1 to 2 already different different rotations, and you have a lot of global cooldowns to work with, off global cooldowns. But I mean, just throwing at them at a new player, it's just like, it's staggering. Just like, what if they never played a tank? What if they never played a healer?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Then jumping into those dungeons at level 30, not knowing anything at all about the game and trying to tank, it might not be too different than how it is right now. But, and also the Weasel, yeah. Do you guys want me to find another way to like post this up? Like, I'm not really doing anything with Twitter or other services.
Your own website.
Yeah, I can't create my own website either. I have no skills for it. But if you guys have any idea of another way for me to get it to you, maybe I'll set up a Twitter if you guys like Twitter, and then I can just post it up like 30 minutes before the show starts. And
that was
way you guys
actually one of my pinkish just asked. I was
Mm-hmm.
wondering about that myself, honestly. Since they're jobs, are they going to have cross-class skills, or?
I think they said something about them not having cross-class skills. But you guys can correct me on that. I think that was like way back they mentioned it, but of course that's when I heard it. It was a long time ago, so they might have changed that thought by now.
I wouldn't imagine they have cross. I mean, since they don't have classes, they wouldn't have cross-class skills, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird way that they're setting up this. These classes are going to be different than all the other classes that we have, and we've been leveling them. I mean, what do you guys think, Jack Dens? Do you think that they're going to have any kind of cross-class?
Nah, I mean, if they say they're not going to have any, then I don't think they will. I mean, I think at this point they would be pretty smart to at least put the abilities they needed to be whatever class they're doing as part of the actual class. Because, I mean, as a warrior, you have to level up a paladin to get provoke. Don't you think that would be something the warrior should have with?
Poor Jack, your audio is like you cut it in and out a little bit. It's okay. It cuts in and out every once in a while, but I can usually get the gist of what you're saying.
I think, if anything, I think they're just going to give them all the skills that they need. That to the point that cross class is something they don't need, and to the fact that they wanted to get rid of the whole cross class system. I believe that was something they had mentioned. Don't quote me on that.
Dins, do you know anything that we don't?
My secret Square contacts.
Yeah.
So I think they have two avenues, right? And I think the most likely avenue is actually similar to what Jack is trying to say, is that these are jobs, so they will inherently probably get more inherent job abilities than most other classes, but that will cover the fact that they cannot get cross-class skills.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to get a lot more skills and actions through their job naturally, but they can't cross-class. So in the end, it's going to balance out to the point of where they have what they need if they would have been cross-classing anyway.
Right.
And the other option is that they just open them up they set them up with cross-classes just like every other job has its limited set of cross-class skills. They just preset those. And since you're already starting at 30, you just know what those cross classes are right away. And if you already have them leveled, you can start slotting them in like you would normally for any other job.
All right. Well, we'll see how they handle it. I kind of think they're trying to take a new approach on it. I don't know if they're going to like... I don't know if they're going to try to make it to where you guys don't even have to think about cross-classing. You just level one class and you just completely ignore everything. So, hold on real quick. Arza, you said, do they mean that the new ones can't get cross-class skills, or that other jobs can't get cross-class from them? Probably both.
Both, yeah.
I'd say both.
Because they're jobs, they're not classes. You don't have like a warrior with freaking
Shield Oath.
Hollow Ground. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, like when you change
job-specific skills.
Yeah. So when you change to level 30 and you're doing warrior instead of doing God, what is it now? Marauder. Okay. Doing warrior instead of marauder. I blanked on it. Sorry. Then you're not cross-classing anything from warrior. You're cross-classing from marauder. And so I don't know if they're going to be able to take other classes like gladiator or marauder skills. But I know that you're not. I seriously
think that they're going to have a brand new list of skills that we've not seen at all in game so far. So
I hope so.
And also to keep in mind, like this is something that's been in interviews. Yoshi P does not like the class system.
Mm-hmm.
He inherited that from 1.0 and has run with it. But he is really against the class system as it's designed. He much prefers just everything being a job and having its own skill set. So that kind of leans more toward the fact that there will be no cross-class skills or taking skills from all of the new jobs, and any job designed here on forward. Yeah. Ninja will be the last job that has a class base and thus has cross-class skills.
Oh, and the one thing I'll say to that, RSL, is that, Dark Knight having Provoke, that doesn't mean too much. They'll probably just create a new spell that does the exact same thing.
Better Provoke.
Yeah, so you have Scholar and you have White Mage
Evil
with
taunt.
Leech and Asuna. They do, like, Leech and Asuna does the exact same thing, but, you don't cross-class it between the two classes. So that's probably what they're going to do. They're going to give it, like, Dark Glare or something like that. I don't know. Rude.
Sword slap.
Yeah, sword slap. Mom joke or something.
Mom joke.
Mom joke.
Oh no, you didn't.
Yeah. Well, and this is something that we kind of also expect, is that all the new jobs are going to get, new actions. Duty of War, Duty of Magic, Duty of Land, Duty of Hand. They're all going to get new actions, and
Duty?
so is it? Oh God, it's not Duty. When I see D, I think Duty. It's Disciple. I never hear Disciple, right?
Wait, Duty of War?
Yeah, Duty of War, man. You got to
Is
go
this
out.
some kind of new mechanic that
It's
you
called.
know about?
He said he wants to play Call of Duty. Is what it
Yeah,
sounds
no, it's
like.
first-person shooter FF14.
Duty of War, Samurai confirmed.
It's the new
Samurai
machinist group.
They just tucked the samurai in there.
Yeah.
So class. Surprise.
Surprise, Duty of War. Okay, so, and each job is going to get their own unique limit break, and some of the jobs are going to just kind of adopt ones that are already out there. But honestly, is that anything more than that's just cosmetic? I don't know if I'm too excited about that. I mean, it's kind of neat, I guess, but what do you guys think about them putting the work in to make different limit breaks for every single job?
I'm hoping that they're not just cosmetic. I'm hoping that each class does its own unique, or each job does its own unique thing, because they're trying to differentiate jobs between each other. Like Din says, she doesn't like how the class thing goes. So I mean, it's probably cosmetic, but like, why would they bother if they weren't gonna change it out? I understand why Bard wants a new limit break, but.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just stuff based a purely cosmetic. Why would they go through all the trouble with that? Why they should just make it each job have a different one, so that each job is unique.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to really look different for most of them. I don't know if they're going to give different effects to them, but Jack, what are your thoughts on it, man?
I want to think that they're more than just cosmetic myself, but I mean. I really don't know. I mean, so far as what I do know is that they're going to show off the new Dragoon LB at the benchmark that they're going to be showing off soon. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll see from there just what's the difference going to be, if it's just simply cosmetic or maybe there's something more to it.
Right. Well, I mean, right now you just kind of get Omni Slash, right? For DPS, melee DPS, and then you get Meteor.
Yeah, you just get, you get for Braver, which is just Cloud Sword, and then you get the Omni Slash, and then after that you get the Light from the Heavens.
Finally.
Okay, Dragoon limit break. They're gonna jump really high and avoid all damage while they're in the air. There you go.
Jump really high and die, right?
No, they avoid all damage while they're in the air. It's
jump that doesn't hurt them in the process.
All right, that works. So there's the one thing that I am kind of excited about, and I'm not a big crafting person, but in regards to crafting, it makes me happy, is that they're adding the specialist system, where you'll get 3 specializations for, what you can do. I mean, you can change them, and they're not required, but, it makes it to where players are they get in their own little corner of what they actually do. Like, this is an armor smith and a weaponsmith, and, he does something else, and that's the guy you go to for that. Another person works on alchemy, I think I said that right, because I get confused between WoW and Final Fantasy XIV because I flip between the two so much. But what do you guys think about that? Are you happy that they're actually kind of limiting people in some way to where they can't just have everything, and that they actually need to rely sometimes on other people? Jack, let me start with you on that.
Well, I mean, when I looked at the information for the specialist, I mean, it's kind of cool that they're doing this. That they're kind of like, okay, you need to kind of specialize within these specific ones rather than all of them. Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you're gonna be a master crafter, leveling all the crafting it's a pain. It's a huge money sink, and you have to spend a good amount of time on it. So I think this kind of helps them in regards to at least choose the ones that they like, and then work from there. But also how it also specialists work is by the fact that if you specialize within a certain class, you get more actions out of it, more than someone who doesn't specialize in it. So there's more to it than just like, okay, I'm choosing this.
Yeah. Well, Dins, what do you think, man?
So, from what I took out of it is that they're trying to prevent the feeling that in order to do your one craft to its maximum, you have to max out every craft. And the specialist system is basically a way to make sure that you don't need to level carpenter in order to be a good alchemist. You don't have to level blacksmith to be good at making culinary items. And I think that's their goal, as long as they execute it correctly. And I think it's fine. I think if it encourages people who normally would not craft, like I think 3 of the 4 of us,
Right.
to pick up a craft, because now it's not like, Jesus, I have to level carpenter to get Biregots, and Biregots is like required to make items for this. And if you have that system in place, that's good for encouraging people to pick up 1 or 2 crafts instead of going like, God, I gotta level everything. Man, is that worth it? I don't think I can do that. Where I think Pink actually made an interesting comment, and I kind of want to comment, is like there's this potential that it could be bad because everyone will want to pick up whatever the big money maker is. So if the perception is, man, the crafted accessories are where the money's at, we should all be goldsmiths. From a market perspective, if that were to happen, and now no one is making all the good food, the few people that are making the good food can now charge atrocious amounts of money. And all of a sudden that causes this shift in the market where people go, God, there's so much competition for all my accessories, but nobody's doing food. It's worth so much money. I better level culinary.
Right.
So I think in the end, it's just going to be, it'll be good for more casual crafters. I think the people who love crafting are going to naturally level everything, and the specialist system is not going to matter that much to them. But for those people like me who are like, yeah, I kind of might want to level 1 craft, but God, I don't want to level them all. If this encourages me to level just 1 craft because I like that craft, that's really good for the casual player base.
Yeah, no, I agree that it will help. Well, the thing that I like about it is that it's going to help people come together a little bit more. It's not going to be, I can do everything, I don't need anyone. You will actually have to rely on other people. And that being said as well, on the whole, it's going to cost more money, or everyone's going to do one thing because they're going to get money from it. You got to kind of look at it this way, like you said, is that, then it's going to leave kind of a void in other areas where they can charge more money because not as many people are doing it. And so that will kind of hopefully balance out. But the way that they will have to balance that out is that they have to make every class have something that's valuable to somebody. If they make it to where one's just kind of for fun and you can get something easily replaced, like in a dungeon or something, and it doesn't really matter that much, then that class or that job will just completely die out. But you just have to make it to where other people have to rely on each other, and they need the stuff that every single job is making, every single specialist is making. And Adagio, sorry. What's your thoughts on it?
It's a two-sided argument on my part. I don't like it in the fact that I like being self-sufficient, but again, I do like it and the fact that it is going to make the community have to band a little more together to get everything done. Like, oh, I need so-and-so item from this, I don't have it leveled, so I need to go talk to this person and maybe even set up like a contract with them so that you buy specifically from them. And I do agree with what Din said. Yeah, say someone wants to level Goldsmith and everyone levels Goldsmith and throws all that stuff on the market board, that stuff gets flooded out and then it's practically worthless. Whereas this one person that's done stuff for like your raid food, you need that raid food, and that's the only person that has it leveled, that he's going to be banking at that point. until other people lev the culinarian, and then that's going to tank out, and then it's just going to be an ongoing process of who has the most expensive thing. But like what was it earlier in chat? It was someone said that, I mean, if you're really hardcore into crafting, honestly, you're just going to make 2 more alts and level and have all 9 professions or whatever.
And let them do it. I mean, if people want to do it, then that's fine. You know, let them level up a whole nother class and go through and do all that stuff. They're hardcore enough to do it. It gives them that ability, and it's going to take them a little bit longer to get there. But, I mean, not that much horrible, I guess. And then they have to pay a little bit more for a subscription, I guess. But, you know, if that's what they really want to do, then that's what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
So another part is, you know, they're going to add a favor system for let me stop myself. Disciples of Land.
Duty.
It sounds exactly like maps to me, but like a timed map where you have a certain amount of time to find it, maybe. I didn't see a lot of information on there, and I could be completely wrong on this, so forgive me if I am. They said there's going to be hidden gathering points. It's going to be active only for a certain time, and those are the 2 notes I really have on it. Did you guys read into that any more than I did? And I'll start with you, Jack, because you look like you're ready to go.
Yeah, again, from the stream.
Yeah, I didn't see. Yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned that there's 2 kind of scripts that's going to be going out. It's going to actually work similar to how it is with the tombstones that we do.
Whoa, hold on. Not the scripts, though. The favor system.
Was it the scripts or the favor? I don't know.
There's a script system. There's a script system, and then there's a favor system. And I think the script system is for Duty of Lands to go find, like, treasure or something like that, kind of like hidden gathering points.
I guess scripts and favors are just like the same thing, regardless.
Kind of
like one's for like gatherer and one's for the crafting.
No. They're gonna have blue scripts and red scripts, and one's gonna be for land and hand. Hey, puppies. Sorry. So yeah, and so when the favor system is actually something completely different from script when, at least from what I read. So kind of F you, Jack.
Well, okay, well, F you. Well, anyways, but I mean, it still sounds very similar to what they're doing. I mean, they're still going to have 2 different versions of that. One's going to be unlimited. One's going to be weekly. You can only get so many of the red and versus the blue. I believe those were the 2 colors that they mentioned.
Exactly.
Regardless of what it's called, but I mean, it follows the same system. You use it and you can get the gathering spots.
Yeah.
But what you're going to have to do to get them, it's going to be basically almost tied to like an end game for the gatherers and the crafters, where you have to go to Rowena's House of Splendor and you do something and you get the favors, you get the scripts.
So let's jump into that real quick, because I think there's a lot of thoughts going on with that. Is that the script system is tokens, definitely. It's just, you know, crafting tokens, gathering tokens. And so they're going to have the same thing as kind of like their poetics or, you know, their soldier. They're going to have one that they can do with no limit and the other one weekly. So are you for that system, Jack? Do you think that's going to be a good thing?
Well, I mean, I see it no different than how it is now, since you have to use, you know, basically, you know, tokens that you gather or craft yourself. Mm-hmm. I just don't see the reasoning behind the weekly. It's like, I mean, there's not very much information about it for me to, you know, make too much of a judge. But I think it's just kind of weird and suspicious that they're gating something behind a weekly, you know, restriction. I mean, I can understand the tombstones. I mean, you understand, you know, gear, that sort of thing. It's like maybe that's how it's going to work too. That they use it for either these buffs or these materials are so rare or actually very useful that they have to lock it behind a, you know, a weekly restriction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Adagio, you're kind of like a crafting guy, right? So
not really, but yeah, kind of.
Okay.
I got them all to 50. Not really geared out though.
That's way past what I'm doing. So,
Yeah, too.
What do you think about a token system being added for him? Do you think that's just another thing to farm, or?
Yeah, I actually like that because, as is, I really don't want to spend millions and millions of gil getting my crafters up to 4-star. I'd like to be able to pick up tokens to be able to gear them out properly. So yeah, I'm all for that, honestly. M obviously doesn't want that, or Pinkish in the chat obviously doesn't want that, but yeah, I'm all for that because I'm very stingy with my gil.
Yeah. What about you, Dens? What do you think about it? Them adding a token system to crafting?
Well, you know, with my level 15 goldsmith, I'm a font. of crafting knowledge.
Right.
No, I think like if it gives people an option to get crafting gear, much like Adagio said, without having to have it crafted and then spend, ludicrous amounts of gil melding materia to that, similar to how, we have our crafted gear for raiding, or we have our poetics or whatever, whatever the current tier of currency is.
Yeah.
If it gives you that option, I think it's good.
Okay.
Or if there is some set of mats that you can acquire for really high-end crafts that are either very, very hard to acquire by gathering or what have you, or cannot be acquired gathering in some fashion, can only be acquired through that, then I think that's fine. That's a good kind of alternate system. But if it's just all the stuff that you could get normally and without much difficulty, then that would be probably really poor execution, and I think the system would be really missing the mark.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just going to work out pretty well. I mean, it sounds like it's just going to make it a little bit easier for crafting. I'm hoping their goals with crafting is not to make it more complicated, but to make it more accessible for people who don't even want to even try right now, because the idea is that you need to get everything up to max to support the other crafts. So we'll see how that works out. One of the couple last notes I have on classes is that this is something that's kind of exciting for me, and I want to get your opinion on it. Paladins are going to get an additional combo. So it's not going to be just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. They're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, or 1, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5. Do you think we talked a little bit last week, or maybe the week before that, with class mechanics, just saying that it was a good idea to have a tank that wasn't as hard to learn. It had a pretty easy learning curve, and that keeping that 1, 2, 3 was a good option for those people. Do you think them adding this extra combo is going to really make that much of a difference? Or I'll start with you, Adagio, because I know that you have lots of thoughts on Paladins.
I'm very eagerly looking forward to what they do with it. I just hope it's something that's actually really useful, because, I mean, yeah, we have the extra combo, but, I mean, it's freaking Riot Blade is practically useless.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to having the dynamic of making, I need to use this skill versus this skill because it's in the specific moment. Like I was saying, I think it was 2 shows ago, Paladins really do need something extra to make them a more interesting class to play and just have, like I said, more dynamics and overall.
Yeah, I agree. Jack?
I think it's fine that they have another, rotation to work with, but to me, it just goes back to the article that I read, whether this rotation is going to work for the 3.0 bosses. Is in the article it stated that only some of the new skills from 3.0 is going to affect these bosses, so that you have to go back to your optimal, your standard 1, 2, 3. So I don't know if it's just going to be situational just for these bosses, or just for 3.0 in general. That it's just there. So I really don't know.
I'm hoping that they make it as something that you kind of have to do to be optimal as a paladin, but then again it threads that line of it's around the same level as a warrior, and will that confuse people who want to get into tanking and not, they want it kind of an easier playthrough. What do you think, Dins?
So, my hope is that they get something like Warriors, Storm's Eye, Storm's Path, where you get something a little more interesting and not just some different skill with some new generic threat additive. Like some form of debuff or something like that is a little more situational and gives you a little more complexity to your play. Because poor paladins, I don't know how you do it. I would be bored out of my mind, which is why I don't play tanks.
Yeah.
But like, at least some flexibility, or even if it's one of those things where it's like a monk rotation, right? Where you have this skill set, then this skill set, and you have basically this really elongated 2 skill chain sets in your rotation with a mixture of other skills. That just gives you more engaging play. Because let's face it, if you were just doing 1, 2, 3 still through the whole of Heaven's Ward, would you not lose your mind?
No, we would.
You've been doing it long enough. Like, you deserve a little extra.
Well, I mean, honestly, any decent paladin at end game isn't just doing 1, 2, 3, but yeah, like I said, I'd still like to see a new combo added in that does something different.
Yeah, I mean you're doing 1, 2, 3, and then what? Shield slash, shield.
Well,
and then,
I mean,
and then you do
I'm
your
doing,
Circle of Scorn and your Rage of Haloon, or not Rage of Haloon. What is the other one?
I'm doing
Storm,
like
Spirits
fight or
Within.
flight. I'm doing fight or flight for our jump in, fast
Yeah.
blade, then spirits within, savage blade, then circle of scorn, rage of alone, then fracture. So I'm like weaving
Well-
stuff in and out. There's not just 1, 2, 3, but
Well, yeah,
I mean, you
but
could
I
take
mean,
1, 2, 3, but there's still more stuff to do than that.
yeah, no, you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have if it's on cooldown, press it. And that's kind of what I'm seeing at least with it, and it's not that exciting. I want something where like, oh, do I need to make this choice and go into this combo,
Yeah, exactly.
or do I need to go do the other combo? And so I'm hoping for that.
And there's actually a great comment from I think it's Doryu14. If I butchered your name, I'm sorry. In chat where you have Halone combo which reduces strength. What if your new skill is reducing int?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that gives you some play because there are certain boss skills that are based on intelligence and others that are based on strength. So if
Yeah,
you
like
get,
we just
if you get that kind of play,
Mm-hmm.
that's at least something where even if it's niche, it's important.
Yeah.
Like I just did Chrysalis last night to help a guild member out, and that boss does only magic damage, so that strength debuff doesn't do anything there.
Yeah, and so that would be good. So you actually have an option of what debuff do I need to apply, and you have to think. You just don't sit there and go into autopilot. So I think it's a good thing. I'm all for it, and I'm ready to go ahead and probably not use it because I'll be playing Machinist. So, anyways, Dark Knight is also going to get an achievement mount. So it's going to be Battle Pig. I'm just kidding. I don't know what it is.
That'd be awesome.
I'd totally work for that Battle Pig.
Yeah, I have no clue what their amount is, but I think that's a good idea to give them a mount just so you promote
I'm honestly
tanks.
not surprised because I mean, warriors
Yeah.
have their tank, paladins have their tank. I would be shocked honestly if Dark Knight didn't have their
Yeah,
pet.
I want it to be something amazing.
So since paladins have a white lion, does that mean we're going to see Dark Knights with like a black coral?
yeah, we could do that. Or a black Gubu.
Mount.
Thank you.